Today I'm going to take you through a full body mobility routine. This one's going to be nice and fast, but it is a follow along, so jump up, try up against the wall first, so hands above the head, slowly go down towards your squat position. Now if this feels easy, you can move closer to the wall, you can do it bare feet like I have, or if it's hard, you can move away from the wall and even raise the heels up a little bit if you need to. So we're just going to look for 3 or 4 repetitions there, fine tuning the position to make it challenging but not impossible. And I do repetitions up and down, nice and slow, trying to keep the arm straight. From there, I'm going to go up onto a step. Now you can use any size step, but ideally you have enough clearance so your hands don't touch the floor. I'm going to bend the knees slightly. I'm going to take the chin to the chest. I'm going to roll down through the spine first. So rounding through the spine, upper back, mid back, then low back. Once you pass through the low back, lock the knees backwards, so hyperextend the knees. Go as deep as you can with your hands. So I'm trying to get as close to the floor as possible. You can just touch, keeping the knees locked backwards. Hold there for a few seconds, and then I'm going to bend the knees, reverse that movement back up again. Go through the spine, nice and tall at the top. And again, chin to chest, roll down through the upper back, mid back, low back. Lock the knees backwards. Go as deep as you can towards the floor, or don't fall off the step. Hold for a few seconds, bend the knees, roll through the low back, through the mid back, through the upper back, and then nice and tall. Now into a hang, so hands shoulder width apart or closer. I'm going to come into a passive hang, so ideally feet would be off the floor, but if you needed to, you could have toes down. So I'm going to hold there, go as deep as I can into that position. Now we have a few options here. We can just hang there, and if that's uncomfortable or really challenging or even painful in the shoulder, you could just make it a little more active, put the toes down. But ideally, full passive position, we can bring the hands all the way together, which makes that more challenging. You just got to work out where you want the head position. The other way we could do it is turn the hands this way around. So underhand grip, just make sure the thumb is wrapped around. And this is going to be more challenging on the bicep and the forearms. But same again, if we need to, we can have toe assist. So 30 to 60 seconds in that position. Then we want to open up the front of the legs. So I'm just going to come down to a kneeling position. From there, I'm just going to lean backwards. Now I could use the step in this position. I could just lift the hip up and squeeze the butt cheeks. So I'm trying to make sure I can go into a slight posterior tilt and have a fully open hip. So that's a closed hip. So I have a little bit of hip flexion, but ideally I want that open hip position. So squeeze the glutes, open up as much as you can through the front of the body. If that's easy, I can get rid of the step. And now I can start coming down closer towards the floor. I can put my elbows on the floor. I'm just squeezing the glutes, squeezing the abs to keep more of a neutral posterior tilt in the pelvis. We don't want to arch through the low back with this one. If you're flexible enough, you can go all the way to the floor. Now I'm not quite flexible enough for this one because you see how the knees have raised up, and I'm trying as much as I can to keep that strong posterior tilt. Again, we shouldn't feel this in the low back. So from there I can come back out, go into a slightly easier version. I can bring the knees together, which makes things a little bit tougher. Really making sure I've got that strong posterior tilt, keeping the glutes and the abs on. And then come back out. Let's do that one more time. So now I'm going to make things a little bit more challenging because we're slightly warmed up. So I'm going to go back through that first one. I'm going to have the hands touching. So now I've got thumbs together. Make sure the arms are straight. I'm going to have the feet a little bit closer together. And then go as deep as I can towards that squat position, trying to keep those arms straight, trying to keep the thumbs in contact. Hold for a couple of seconds and then back up again. That felt about right for me. If it's too hard, move further away. Allow the hands to open up a little bit more. So 2, and then 1 more repetition. Now if you want to add another layer to this Jefferson curl one, I've added a weight. So I've got a 10K dumbbell in my hand. I'm going to go through that same start. So I have slight bend in the knees, roll through the spine, through that mid back, through that low back. Lock the knees backwards, go as deep as you can there. Now with the weight, I'm trying to hold there. So I'm trying to lengthen the spine as much as I can. Now if that feels okay, I can keep the weight down. I'm going to go into a squat position. Now when I'm in the squat, I'm trying to take my hands as close to the floor as I can, but also take my butt down as deep as I can. So trying to really sit the hamstrings onto the calves. Now when I straighten, I'm going to try and keep the dumbbell at that same depth or lower. Straighten the legs all the way, and then bend the knees, come back out, round through the spine, nice and tall. One more of those, so rolling through the spine, keep the knees soft. Lock the knees backwards, straighten as much as I can, get as deep as I can, hold for a few seconds, trying to lengthen both through the calves, the hamstrings, and the spine. Bend the knees, go into the squat, try and take the butt as close to the floor as I can, while remaining as deep as I can with the hands close to the floor. And then reverse it back out, trying to keep that same depth. Bend the knees, roll through the spine, back to that start position. Back to that passive hang. So now I'm going to add a little bit of scapular movement while I'm hanging here. So I'm going to move up and down. So trying to go between elevation and depression of the shoulder blades. Trying to keep the arms dead straight when I do this. Then I'm going to add a little bit of retraction in. So as I depress the shoulder blades, I also retract them, opening the chest up, and then come back down again, going all the way back to that passive position, and then up again, right down. If this is too hard, you can just stay with that passive hang. Now again, with the quad hip flexor one, I'm going to go into that same position, but now I'm going to use a band to help me do repetitions. So I'm going to go back to that initial start position, lock the pelvis in position by turning the glutes and the abs on. I'm going to go backwards as far as I can with control, but making sure that I can come back up again. Now if I feel more comfortable with that, I can try and go deeper. Watch your head on the wall. And back up again. Or trying to maintain that one-piece connection from the knee to the shoulder. Abs on the whole time. Shouldn't be feeling this in the low back. Now you could just use this to hold in a position, glutes and abs on, where you don't then have to lean onto something, or you could do the repetitions of open and closing. Now obviously with that one you can mix and match different exercises or different stretches if you don't have a pull-up bar, if you don't have a step, or if you're trying to target specific weaknesses. You'll find this follow along in my app, details are down in the description, as well as all my other programs and follow along videos. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks guys.